Join us.
Okay.
All right. This morning, I want to thank you, first of all, for taking the time to do this early on a Tuesday morning. Mayor Micheal Butler of Orangeburg is joining us today. I could tell you a lot of things about the mayor, even man of many hats, not the least of which is founder and pastor of Victory Tabernacle. I think I can safely call one of Orangeburg's leading churches. The many other hats too. He can tell you about any of that he wishes to, but he's a two-term mayor of Orangeburg. I believe he plans to seek his third term. So we'll go from there. Mayor, I want to preface this by saying that you're aware that we study coverage of local government in this class. We've come to Orangeburg City Council meetings physically. You are today, I'm sure, well, the class needs to know you're very aware of Zoom now because I think y'all are using Zoom. No, you're using Facebook for your meetings, aren't you?
Right.
Correct. Anyway, so they've been conducting virtual meetings. So you'll know, we are going to go through a city council meeting in another class where we actually watch you guys virtually.
Okay.
But I thought that it was an excellent way to introduce local government by bringing the mayor in to talk to the class. You certainly are free to take it away on any subject you wish, but I gave you kind of an outline, and I thought one of the first things we ought to do is discuss exactly what the mayor of Orangeburg does in the form of government that we have, at least briefly. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you. The class we have 7 members of this class, and we have 4 with us right now, and we may get the others joining us, hopefully. Some do watch virtually after the fact when there's a conflict in an asynchronous format. But I think this class has worked pretty well going live. So we all welcome you today.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Lee, and good morning, class. It is certainly my privilege to come and talk with you all today. And thank you all for inviting me to be a part of this class. I want to just get straight to what I do. I am the mayor, and in my role, this is a council form of government. And what that means is that no rules or no regulations can be changed or made without 4 votes from the people that sit on the council. I conduct the meetings. I'm the chairman of the meetings, and then I call the votes. I vote just like everybody on the council. I only have 1 vote. We meet the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. As mayor, I have to get everybody in the city, a certain amount of people in the city to vote for me. And the other council members, they just have to get people in their district. And that kind of give me a little bit more leverage because the entire city will be aware of me and who I am and what I do. And let me go back to this. We have 2 forms of government in local government. We have a strong mayor and we have a weak mayor. So you would call me a weak mayor because I do not solely have the power to make decisions by myself. A strong mayor, what they do, they make the decisions. Some cities around Orangeburg County, they have strong mayors. They can make a decision, and the decision is that's it. But in this form of government, we make it together. We make it together. It takes 4 people, and that's what we call a quorum. 4 people make up a quorum. If somebody's out, as long as we got 4 people, we can move the agenda. We can do a lot of things. So that's important. A lot of people weren't aware that we had 2 forms of government. But in mayor, we have 2 forms of government. Are there any questions at this point from anybody on that? And we also make the rules on ordinance, like, for example, like the trash can being out or people having trash around their houses. We make rules We make rules on noise ordinance, like people drive through town, very loud music. We create ordinance and resolutions and all of that. That's what we do. We also vote on the handbook, employees handbook. We make all the decisions together for the city and any rule in the city. Slumlords, so we have some slumlords. We make decisions on all of that to make sure that we want to keep our city clean. And that's basically what I do as mayor. And this other thing, of course, I cut ribbons, and we make decisions to move the town forward. It's what we plan. We plan to bring things here, and in order for us to bring things here, the population have to be at a certain number. Because a lot of people say, why we don't have this and why we don't have that? Well, when the people that owns these business and retails, when they look up and see that we only have 14,000 people in our city, they don't understand that we got a Holly Hill, we got a Ellery, we got all these towns around us, and they come into Orangeburg. Orangeburg is the county seat. So they don't understand that. The only thing they understand is we got 14,000 people, and they feel like that's not enough people to support whatever kind of business we bring in. And in Orangeburg, in the city of Orangeburg, it's so funny how it's structured, because you can go in the back of South Carolina State College, where that bridge come across from those apartments. You're in the county. You're in the county, so that look like that would be in the city because it's so close. You can go to Bojangles. You're in the county. When you go from in the front of South Carolina State, going up 601. When you get down there to that red light, that CVS, once you cross the bypass, you're in the county. So that's why the numbers are so funny, and we have to do some annexing to get more people into our city so that we can move our city forward. But we're on the track of moving us forward. Okay. Any questions for me?
Mayor, I think it is fair. I want to be sure that everybody understands what we're talking about there. The city of Orangeburg's limits are very tight inside of what we call Greater Orangeburg or Micropolitan Orangeburg. And I'm going to use a number. You correct me if I'm wrong. There are between 50 and 60,000 people that live in a 5 to 10 mile radius of Orangeburg, of the center of Orangeburg, right?
Well, it's 90.
Well, the county is what, 90, right?
Yeah, of the county, right.
But in the greater,
yes.
Greater Orangeburg is what, about 60,000 people,
60, isn't it? Right.
Yeah, and so that tells the class you're dealing with what amounts to a relatively sizable city for South Carolina, if all of that were in the city limits. But the mayor and council only have government power over the area that is inside Orangeburg city limits. And annexation, as the mayor said, would change a lot of it. It does affect businesses that look at the city and go like he said, wow, you only got 14,000 people in Orangeburg? And you tell them, no, there's 60,000 people in what is effectively Orangeburg. But it does affect but those areas outside of the city are governed by Orangeburg County Council.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay, and do you want me to continue, Lee?
Yes, sir. You just identified one priority being annexation. I guess maybe you ought to, how aggressively are we pursuing annexation?
Well, we got off it because we changed leadership. We just hired a new city manager, so that is going to be one of his priorities, and he understands the dynamics of Orangeburg because he's an Orangeburg native, and so that we're going to get back on the track of that, pushing for annexation. And we plan to look at a lot of areas, especially Whitaker Parkway, going up on the hill, going out past Walmart, going out past that on up the North Road, going out 301 North, 301 South. Those are areas that we're looking at.
Well, feel free to tell us about other priorities that are on Mayor Butler's agenda.
Okay, one of the things that's going to be my baby is going to be the railroad corner. We started working on the railroad corner We have this group called from the University of North Carolina, and it's called DFI. And what they do, they come in and they study sites in the municipalities that we want to be developed. As we speak now, they are studying the railroad corner, and they are talking to both presidents, they're talking to students, they're talking to the community to ask them what do they feel is best suited on the railroad corner. We have purchased all the property there but one piece of property. And we are aggressively trying to talk to one owner to get to sell that to the city so that we will have control over the entire corner. And and we feel that it should be student friendly. It should have things like 5 points so the students can have some kind of activity or some things to do. You know, we feel like it should have some mom and pop stores, sidewalk eating, and like that. We also looked at student housing over there. We looked at grocery stores, and we just brainstorming, trying to see what is going to fit there when we start developing, when we tear down and start developing. We own the service station that's right behind the corner. That's on Treadwell Street, on Treadwell and Russell. We own that old service station. We're going to take that down, and the county owns, you know, going on up putting that library up there. But that's going to be one of our top priorities. We're getting ready to move from City Hall, and we're going to move downtown in the old First Citizen Bank, and we're going to make that a City Hall administrative building where we'll have office space. We'll be able to stretch out due to the COVID situation. We in this building, we're just on top of each other. And when we move down there, everybody will have separate offices and things. So we'll be down there, Public Works will be down there, and Parks and Recreation will be down there. Some of DPU will be in that building. So are there any?
Let's be sure of one thing, Mayor. I'm sure the class does, but what we're calling Railroad Corner is the property at Russell Street and US 601, which is the big intersection right down from the universities. I guess one question that has always come up about Railroad Corner when it comes to the universities is easy access for the students to that area.
Right.
You got the railroad tracks and all that right there. Are there any plans in the works to make that easily accessible to particularly to pedestrians?
Well, we talked to Congressman Clyburn, and you know he has committed $6 million up there to help us with Railroad Corner. And we hope that when we get our final plans, we're going back to him to ask him to consider helping us with federal funds to put a pedestrian bridge up there. To go across like the same one, just like the one on the back of the campus. And it'll start right down in front of the entrance of South Carolina State and come across the tracks. That's one of our plans. And I think it's workable because we talked in length about getting that done.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that to make that area safely accessible, it's going to have to be something other than walking across railroad tracks or going down the sidewalk, walking through the intersection and all that kind of stuff. So,
right. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. All right, sir. What about other priorities? Obviously, the relationship with the universities are a big deal for Orangeburg.
Yes.
How are you approaching that?
Well, both presidents are. We'll talk with them. We want to do what we call retention. We want to retain the students here by giving them employment, and paying them competitive salaries to stay here in our city, because certainly when they are trained, we really need their expertise in the areas that they are studied in. So we hope to work on that, but in the retention, it's composed of a lot of things. We have to have affordable housing. We have to have a place for people to play. We have to have nightlife. We have to have movie theaters and all of that. And we'll work, that's the kind of inner workings that we're working on behind the scene. And to build that kind of relationship, to give the students, the people that live here, that are migrating here, give them a sense of, I feel like I could stay here because this is what Orangeburg has to offer to help me in my life. So we're working on those things. And Lee, you know, we're currently working on the old, where the old bowling alley used to be. We're currently working with Miss Zitzhart to develop the bowling alley. It's going to be a social justice center, and they will be able to bowl in there.
Where does that project stand, Mayor?
Oh, that project is ongoing. She's written one grant. She was funded, and she's in the process of writing another grant, and hope to be funded. So she's steadily moving on with that.
And correct me if I'm wrong. So I want the class to understand. They're talking about the All-Star Triangle Bowl, which has long since been closed. Very famous location in Orangeburg. So you certainly could call it infamous as well as famous, but it was the scene of the desegregation. It was the focus of the desegregation rallies that resulted in the Orangeburg Massacre in 1968, which we're going to be dealing with in this class too, because the anniversary is coming up on February the 8th. But the plan there is to turn that into an active bowling alley again. And I believe she has said that they're planning large screen TVs over each lane that will show historic scenes and that kind of thing from the bowling alley's history.
Right.
While you're bowling, which would be an interesting experience for a bowling alley. Okay. And
well,
you say
she want to always commemorate the history and what has happened there. And that massacre put Orangeburg, everybody knows Orangeburg, a lot of people knows Orangeburg through that massacre because it was such a tragic, and she wants to always emphasize, let's not forget, you know, those that lost their lives so tragically that night.
Okay. How about the, you mentioned in passing the library, which is going to be an impressive structure down in that same vicinity. Do you anticipate that that library is going to be used much by university students as well as the public, or what are you thinking?
We're thinking that it's going to be used a lot by the county, you know, the county people that live here, because we got a lot of people that visit the library. And certainly we know it's going to be used by the university because, you know, it's going to have meeting rooms. It's going to have an amphitheater down there. It's going to have a little eateries, the restaurants down there. So it's going to serve a lot of purposes.
Okay.
Yeah. And the city, that's the county's project, but the city gave $1 million to help with that project.
Okay, that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
And how about this one piece of property at RR Corner that you don't own yet? Do you feel you're going to get that piece of property, or?
We are hoping that we can get it. We're just not sure about that because the price is so astronomically high, you know. So we are hoping that we can, but if not, we will come up with a plan to build around it.
Class, anybody have a particular question about any aspect of what we're talking about?
I do. Good morning, Mayor Butler.
Good morning.
This is Zion Lawrence.
Oh, hello, Zion. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm doing great.
I know that this evening there's going to be a meeting around like 5 discussing the projects for a skate park. And my counterparts and I are going to be in attendance. And I don't want to go in depth, but I just wanted to know how's that looking in terms of like actually bringing one to the city.
And that's with the skateboard.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, we've talked about it in length in city council about the skateboard, and when it was presented to us, we were saying where would it be, and I think we have located a place that we might could put it there, but we're not just sure yet. But that has been our agenda because they had I forgot the young man. He has not letting us forgotten about the skate park. So that we hadn't put that on the back burner.
Yes, sir.
Let's moving forward with that. Mr. Hanna is Councilman Hanna is pushing it because whoever the young man he talks to Councilman Hanna, he brings it before City Council.
Yes, sir.
So it's moving forward.
Mayor, is there, when you say you're looking at locations for that skate park, are we talking about somewhere near Railroad Corner so it's easily accessible by students?
No, we talking about somewhere at the last location I heard. Now I'm not quite sure about this. Now I'm just saying it was down on down Russell Street, down on near the Gardens. Mm-hmm.
Zion, what are students talking about in that regard?
It's a few students from Claflin State that I'm familiar with that skate, but mostly the people that I hang out with now, my counterparts, they're natives of Orangeburg. And yeah, it's about a good 20 to 30 of us. And usually we go to Columbia or Charleston or make something like a makeshift park here, but we just been going back and forth with the council to see what's going on. But some things are.
Yeah, that we have not put that in the back because man, we just discussed it. I'm just trying to remember. I think 2 weeks ago, we talked about it 2 weeks ago, and that is one of the things that we're looking at because that young man, he does not let up, and he wants it, and we want you all to have it because that enhance our community as it relates to recreation.
Well, if you guys are driving to Columbia now I guess driving down toward the Gardens won't be a very far trip. All right. How about anybody else before we move on to any other topics? Well, one topic that has always come up that the universities and the city interact is voting. I guess you call it a double-edged sword in a way because the universities are in the city, which qualifies students to be voters in city elections as well as in any other election as a city voter, but most students are not registered to vote inside the city of Orangeburg. What kind of priority does the city put on voting among students?
Well, I don't know whether I can't say the city put the priority, but as an elected official, we focus the university because we know that the type of population they have, and we know that those universities are in the city. So as elected officials, we have voting drives up there. We go up there and we register students, and we remind them of the time to vote, and we remind them that they have to, that they can use their campus address to vote in any election. But the city does not emphasize that it's the individual. I go there with a team, and I for both times of my election, and we get the students registered, and we talk to them about voting, the importance of voting. Mrs. Kitt, South Carolina State, and South Carolina State is in her district, and Claflin is in Mr. Harris' district. So that's what we do.
Do you have any idea of what percentage of students actually vote locally?
I know this past in the gym for the president, we had I'll say about 30% of the students voted in the election. But see, what I have to do is kind of trickery with the local election. My election day is in September. The students leave for the summer, and we go up there and say, but right before they leave in May, to kind of talk to them about it, get them ready. So when they come back, they come back in the middle of the election for local.
Yeah, that is a good point, because the city of Orangeburg's elections are September of the year after the major election. It's an odd year. So in other words, you'll be having an election in 2021 in September.
Right.
And it is important that they know that you serve a 4-year term. So you're elected for 4 years.
4 years.
As are council members.
Yes.
Yes.
And we're gonna talk about changing that election too, to be on the ballot with everybody else. So that gives the students a chance, because they are here during the general election when that is.
Yeah, I believe that the town of Santee and Orangeburg are the only 2 municipalities in the county that don't hold their election in November of even years.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm right on that. And the state election commissions, so that everybody will know, has long encouraged municipalities to move their elections out of separate dates and move it into the dates when school boards and everyone else.
Right.
All right. And you say you are looking seriously at doing that.
We're looking at that. We talked to our the local election director, Aurora. We talked to her about it. We got a letter from her, so we are looking at doing that.
Well, that would be a kind of an odd change after any timetable for accomplishing that change?
Well, we gotta talk about it in city council. We hadn't just went into depths about it because we got the letter this week, and we just gonna talk to them in depths about it. And I think it's a process, so I don't know how long the process will be to change it.
I think Bradley's gonna want to talk to you about that. That's an interesting story. That's a story. So in other words, if you're elected to a 4-year term in this September, and you guys decide to move the election date, you'd have to do something to alter the terms or something, wouldn't you, of the council members? I mean, you'd have to stagger them for something till you got back on schedule.
Right.
That's why it's going to make it kind of complicated.
Yeah, and that's why we gotta weed out the process.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna reference that to Gene and Bradley. I know we're gonna want to talk to you about that.
Yes.
Further. And you say Aurora is working with you. By the way, class, Aurora Smalls is the county's director of elections and voter registration.
Right.
Okay.
Well, she sent the letter. We hadn't just getting into the depths of it yet. But that's gonna be one of the things that we're gonna get into depths about.
Well, we can't leave. Again, class, anybody kick in with a question that's unrelated to these bigger topics, but I don't think we can ignore COVID as an issue to talk about with city government. You want to brief the class a little bit on what you and council have done from the beginning regarding COVID?
From the beginning, as it relates to COVID, the COVID virus, we have written a lot of letters to encourage people to wear their masks. The city set an ordinance, y'all probably saw that in the newspaper, that we ask you to wear the mask. We started at $25 fine, and I think we moved it up to $100 because the virus is just spreading so rapidly. And we have encouraged the citizens to use all precautionary measures, and we have asked the store owners to announce that, to ask all of the people that come in the store to wear the mask, stay 6 feet apart, and we ask them if some people come in, they don't want to be compliant. We ask them to call public safety for the stores that's in the city limits, and public safety can come out and enforce that if they do not wear the mask, then they can't come in and shop or whatever. We've asked that strongly. We also I've called the governor about the vaccine, and the governor gave me the report of this. Right now, this people 70 and older are the top priority. The Regional Medical Center has received 646 doses, and they have administered 546 doses to their staff and maybe some people out there and some first responders. So we are waiting like everybody else to get more doses. I think that on the 5th of February at the Orangeburg Fairground, we are going to have a large day of people receiving shots. And you have to, of course, you have to register before you can get it, before you can get a shot. But on that particular day, which is February the 5th, the hospital is the lead person in the county, and the city, we're gonna be out there with them, but we're not the lead on it, but we're gonna be out there to protect and to maybe give on some golf courses, carts for people to ride up the hill, go inside of that little area when you get up the hill on the fairground to get your shots and wait to see how you react to your shots.
Is this going to be on a first come, first served basis for people
Yes.
under 70 or just 70 and over?
70 and over.
70 and over, okay.
Uh-huh.
Any idea how many doses you're going to have?
We don't know. We just don't know. We don't know. And go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Lee.
I just want to ask you, you made the comment about, and this is something that I've been curious about, the masks in stores. Orangeburg does seem, compared to some places I've seen, relatively compliant.
Right.
Has DPS made cases?
They have not, to my knowledge, they have made any case because most people are being cooperative.
Okay.
Yeah, we get, you get some people that may forget or won't do it, but not too many cases. We have great deal of cooperation.
Yeah, the forget is something. I was talking to somebody over the weekend about how many people you can sit in a parking lot and watch the people get out of vehicles and start working toward a store and then stop and go back and say, doggone it, I got to go back and get my mask. So
Right.
it's almost comical to watch.
Yeah.
But anything else about COVID you want to talk about?
As you know, that Grove Park is the clinic for the city, and Grove Park has agreed to, whenever we get enough for the general public, we're going to use our gym, the city gym, for the gym. That's going to be a site, but it's going to be on a first come, first served basis, and you have to register.
And you say register, you're talking about register through the DHEC
Right.
registration? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Anybody have a question?
And I just want to tell your class, some of them wasn't here. I came to Orangeburg in 1979 to go to school at Claflin. And when I came here, Orangeburg had 3 theaters. Orangeburg was booming. Downtown was very vibrant. Lee can probably remember all of this. Very vibrant. And we had shopping, we had eateries, and we had all of that. And over there where the old mall used to be, over there on St. Matthews Road, and then we built a new mall, and downtown died out. So what we are looking at is to start with the railroad corner, which is going to be the gateway to Orangeburg. That's down there in front of State College in Claflin. When you come down, that's what we're going to call the gateway to downtown Orangeburg. We plan to fill every store on each side, all the way down to the gardens. This is our plan. All the way down to the gardens, fill every store, have some anchor stores. We may get a Ross, we may get Rue 21, something like that. We may get stores like that, restaurants. We plan to have all of that going down that way. When you get to DPU, where you pay your light bill, once you go through that light, we plan to make that what you call the Garden City District. And that's where it'll be our bars, our nightclubs, everything down there, going down there. We have about 6 million people a year, 6,000 people, I think, a year, something. 600,000 people visit the gardens in a year. Visit the garden, and some people say, I want to go out, I want to take a drink, I want to just, sit, look, have sports bars. So we plan to develop, all this won't be done overnight, but this is our plan for that, for going from that light at DPU, and that's called Windsor Street. From Windsor Street down to the gardens on both sides, we plan to do that. We plan to do that. That'd be like the garden district. Like the Vista, if you go to Columbia, in the Vista, you see restaurants, you see nightlife, you see all of that right there in that Vista. And we plan to have something like that down in that area. Hopefully.
So bars and nightclubs would be pretty much not a part of the rest of Russell Street. That would be the area they would be zoned into.
Yeah, down in it. But now, right in front of South Carolina State College, on the railroad corner, some of the students have asked for a sports bar there. So if that comes, we will have that they can watch basketball games, sports bar with the big TVs and all that.
I'm assuming restaurants would be allowed to locate anywhere in that stretch down Russell Street?
Yeah, sure.
Including those that served alcohol?
Yes. But it got to be so many distance from that church, from the church.
Okay.
This is the Episcopal church there and the Baptist church there.
Right.
Uh-huh.
All right. So that brings me to one other topic. Orangeburg, you had some pretty strong words to say about this during the time. Orangeburg in the social justice movement certainly is as a historic place in the civil rights movement. People always look to Orangeburg and what it's going to do. City Council has voted to seek removal of the Confederate memorial statue, which stands tall in the center of the city.
Right.
You want to talk to the class about why and what you're thinking about doing? What is the plan?
Well, we understand that we understand the what's the trending of the country. We understand the trending of the country. And all lives do matter to us, all lives, everybody's lives. I just don't want to say black life, but everybody's life matter to us. But during this time, so many African-American men were killed and they were being shot. And this trend came, this movement started going through the country where they was moving Confederate monuments. So what we decided, we listened to the attorneys. The attorneys was in charge, and the attorney that was in charge of this particular with the Black Lives Matter movement was Skylar Hutto. And Skylar found that if the Heritage Act is changed, that we could remove that monument. So City Council, we discussed it and we talked about it, and we said we're going to vote to support the moving of this monument. If the Heritage Act is changed, then we have no problems. But we was not going to act unlawful and go out there and move it ourselves. And we found out that monument does not belong to the city. It belonged to the Daughters of Confederacy. And we was trying to get the permission from the Daughters of Confederacy to place it over in the Confederate cemetery over there behind the old city gym. In that cemetery, give it its final resting place. So that's where we are. I think that I read and I saw in the news that at this time that the Heritage Act was not going to be discussed or pushed forward in this year. So whenever they do that, then we will have the liberty to move forward.
So Mayor, the priority obviously is to move it, not destroy it or.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And so everybody understands what the Heritage Act is. It is a state law passed, I want to say about 20 years ago. Yeah, right when the Confederate flag was removed from the State House, that basically protected not only Confederate monuments, I believe, but all war monuments from removal without a 2/3 vote of the legislature. Mm-hmm. Skylar Hutto, the local attorney, and others believe that law is not necessarily constitutional, that the city of Orangeburg, for example, should have say over monuments inside its limits. but that's a court matter. And this is a good question for you, Mayor. The city is not part of the lawsuit over the Heritage Act, right?
No,
You're not involved.
no,
Okay.
no, we're not involved.
Now, if the legislature does not deal with the Heritage Act this year and decides it's going to pass on and keep going, is the city going to consider some sort of action to allow it to go ahead and move forward on the statute?
No, we were advised by our attorney that we wait on the legislatures to be safe.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, class, any other question, any question about that aspect of, I mean, there are a lot of other things in, Mayor, you mentioned also changing the name of John C. Calhoun Drive.
Yeah, we talked about that. We were supposed to be getting a committee to change that name, and but we can't do that without the Heritage Act either, because that's part of it. They have to give us the approval to do that.
Okay. Any other thoughts from anybody?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Essence Perkins.
Good morning.
Good morning. I was going to ask, do you feel like Orangeburg is going in the direction that you visioned it to go in? And if so, how long do you think it'll take till it gets where you vision it to be?
Well, I think that we're moving toward the directions. We have a lot of things going on behind the scene, but I think that I've been the mayor for 8 years, and I've seen it change and change for the positive. And I think that if I'm elected again, I believe that within these 4 years I could move it a little bit more, because we have a new city manager, and he's very progressive. And the city manager does what he does is the day-to-day work. The city council, we just set the vision, and he does the day work. And with his progressiveness, I really feel that we're moving, and we'll get some things done. We'll see things moving. It was a big step when we purchased that property across from South Carolina State. That was a big step for us. That property been sitting up there for 40 years, looking just like it's looking now. And when we made that step to purchase it, that was a big thing. I mean, we get a lot of kickback now. We get a lot of kickback about purchasing that property. They think that we spending too much money, but this is what you call calculated risk. We took a risk. We're going to show the voters what we're going to do with the money, with the voters' money. We're going to really beautify our city. And I just want to go further and say this, that when people come here that want to bring industry here, when they get to that railroad corner, like if they have their wives and their children and people, like, they say, oh my God, I done turned down the wrong street. This place looks so bad. And we want to spark economic development, get some strong industries here, so that that y'all can have jobs when you being corporate directors and corporate leaders and be in accounting and all these big jobs. We want to do that. So that's why we took the risk, and we just let them say whatever they want to say. We're gonna continue to move forward, because I think in the long run they will see why we made these decisions. And just to say this, I feel that we're moving. We just not moving fast enough, in my opinion. But it just take a process. It's a process. It takes time to do the inner workings of all this. Yeah.
Mayor, how much is the railroad corner property purchase cost the city?
It cost. We haven't reached $1 million yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we read at maybe 700.
And
we put $3 million up there out of penny tax money.
okay. And that's the sole source of the money. Y'all not getting any kind of grants or anything for any of those purchases?
No. No.
Okay. And you feel like that? That's pretty impressive. If you're at 700K at this point, and you set aside $3 million.
Yeah, $3 million.
Okay.
Out of penny tax money.
Now that $3 million is designed to be part of the redevelopment too, not
part of the redevelopment and part of the part of the purchase. we started out with years ago. I think John Yao and we had a what's called a CDC up there, and we had $80,000 in that CDC. So we started off with 80, and then when we had the second round of the penny tax money, we set aside $3 million for a purchase and getting it ready, getting the land ready for development.
Okay, do we have any other question? Mayor Butler, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yes, sir.
You've given us a lot of really good information. Class, I'll be advising you of how we're going to structure. Like I said, we're going to stay on city government for another cycle, and then we're going to work on Mayor Butler's story. And again, I thank him very much for taking the time out to do this.
And thank you all too. I'm glad to meet you, to talk to you this morning. And then Lee, I thank you for inviting me.
Yes, sir. We'll do it again.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. I hope all of you have a great day.
You too.